been a while since the other one. I just got bogged down with other stuff. But yeah, this is a continuation of the Brad Jones film reviews that I'm going to be doing. And now this one is my second favourite. I'm obviously doing them in order of least favourite, second favourite, favourite. Now this one, as you can tell by the title of this blog post, is well, this one's Freak Out. It was awesome. Plain and simple, it was pretty damn awesome. I mean, it just had so many different elements. It had a slow start to it, but I thought that once you got into it, it was really damn good. And I really like the artistic style of filming it in black and white, but having the actual torture scenes and everything in colour, if a bit dim. And I've just realised reflection. But yeah, it's a bit dim. That's the only problem. You can't always tell things. But I suppose for the Brad Jones shot on Shitio film, you've got to expect that sort of thing. But it's really well directed, I have to say, and you know the plot was damn sound. I mean, there was so many different elements of the actual plot that seemed to be absolutely perfect. In fact, Brad Jones's character, yet again, as I say, is the strongest character that I like. Brad is probably the strongest actor there. And he pulls his character off so well. He's some serial killer, basically. He's a torturing, murdering bastard who just gets off on torturing and murdering young boys, basically. As I've said before, Brad Jones is completely messed up with the script. And I love it. I know it's very, very sick and disgusting, but it's so well written, so well made, that it doesn't really seem that gratuitous. It doesn't seem like it's shocking for shocking's sake. It's not exactly just like, oh, I'm gonna, you know, it actually feels like this has been thought over, and of course not put in a very sensitive way, but not too, well, like I said, gratuitous. It seems as if it has a pride of place. It's not just gore and torture being put in there because, well, why not put gore and torture in there? It's got a pride of place there, and it builds upon the character so well. And Brad Jones's character, he just goes through so many different things, and you can feel the pain of him. And even though he is this murderer, the serial killer, you kind of like him. He's a very likable character, and I don't know why that is. Maybe it's Brad's acting, maybe it's the script, maybe it's just that, I don't know, he just seems very with it. He seems very knowledgeable. He seems to know what's going on, being very logical and sound. And even though he, of course, is murdering people, you could kind of he just seems to play it off as something he does every day, as if it's just a little bit of a hobby. And it comes across as such. It doesn't entirely come across as something disgusting and despicable. Of course, you know it's disgusting and despicable, but you just kind of accept it. Maybe it's just the fact that you only see him kill about 2-3 people. And yeah, it's really well done. I mean, the main character, it's been a while, so I can't really remember names, but the main character's pretty well acted, and his friend, who I believe is called Dave, he's pretty damn good as well. One downside was the woman, the female actor. She is awful. She's I don't know how many emotions she tried to convey, but none of them were the right ones. She said everything's very deadpan and monotone. You don't quite understand what she's trying to say. I mean, she seems to try and say things in a very sexual manner, and they're not. She's like, oh, so you want to fuck me? But really, you didn't really put that across as if you wanted to be like have sex with this person, even though apparently you do. And she's an absolute slut, this girl, but that's her character. Don't entirely understand her reasoning, but I suppose it's boyfriend gone missing, abusive father or whatever. And I liked him, even though he's a complete and utter stereotype. I absolutely loved him. Just the fact that he was some utter hill redneck who abuses his daughter but loves her so much. And kind of touchy with stereotyping, but my god, is it a fun stereotype to go for? And yeah, she just wasn't very good. I didn't like her. Nothing that happened to her really seemed that important to me. I didn't really care for her. Anything that happened to this girl didn't really affect how I felt about her. So yeah, that aside, all of the characters were pretty damn good. And yeah, this brings me on to well, actually, with her, she gets naked at one point, which I find quite hilarious. Having known Brad Jones as the cinema snob, you just sort of see him as the cinema snob, or these other people. Actually, seeing Brad Jones in front of a naked woman is kind of funny, especially especially when these are all, I assume, his friends. I know a few of them he seems to keep in touch with still, and do things like the Bruno Mattei show, but and all that sort of thing. But you know, I was reading through the comments as to why. Now, the nudity you don't actually see on the online version because it's been black boxed. But from what I've heard, this was actually shown in a theatre, probably he worked out a deal or something. But it was shown in the theatre. I'm just thinking, this girl's local. Well, from what I assume, of course, and a friend of his, and she's appearing naked on film. All of her friends have now seen her naked. The town where this is shown has seen her naked. That must be awkward. Just saying. And at one point, I believe, because of the black boxing, that she grabs Brad's hand and places it on her boobs, and that just made me laugh, to be honest. Just knowing that it's Brad Jones, knowing that it's the cinema snob, I just found it utterly hilarious. She didn't pull off the scene very well, but Brad really showed it and gave some really good development for his character. But God, she was awful at the black boxing. I reckon because we saw it black boxed, it just took away from it a little and probably added hilarity into it. But probably seeing it as it was, I don't think it really makes too much of a difference. It's not about seeing some chick naked or whatever. It's about the film as a whole. And the film as a whole is bloody amazing. It's really damn good. I mean, there's some issues with the actual lighting and everything, but I can understand that. It's just so well made and put together extremely well. I was watching for it, and I was watching it quite late at night, so I was a bit tired, but I was still really, really attentively watching it. I was just sitting there thinking, hell, how does a man actually think of this sort of plot? I suppose these sort of things did show up in the sort of 70s and early 80s with the good old video nasties, which, if you've actually got me on Facebook, you may or may not know I'm starting a sort of crusade to get all of the 72, I believe, video nasties, and it's going to be a bit of a challenge because some of them are banned, so I'm going to have to import them, which is going to be fun. But yeah, it's only through only that sort of thing, and I know Brad is a big fan of these the older films because he does the reviews of them, and he says that he likes some of them even if he didn't say them in the review. But the very fact it is very original and very dark and bleak, and I don't know how anyone could really think of this sort of thing. I would love to be able to write a script like that, to be honest, just because it's quite a intense thing to write. Really. It's very. I reckon actually writing that you'd have a hard time writing it, trying to keep it within the confines of what people actually want to watch, rather than what you think is good and awesome and gritty and gory or whatever, but won't appeal to the masses. And that's a big task to put at hand. But all of these points that I'm saying for this one are kind of rendered a bit moot, well, not moot per se, but it's a bit less um, effect when you actually look at his next film, which I'm going to review next. I reckon this is a good place to leave it here. But seriously, Freak Out, blooming amazing film, and I absolutely 100% recommend watching it. It's gritty, dark, bleak. It's completely messed up, to be fair, but I love it, and I recommend watching it. So I'll catch you next time for the last of these 3 reviews, and if you can't tell which one it is by now, I'd probably have a look at the first video, because you'll find out what it is next. So I'll see you next time for it.